Kyiv allies cautious after drone attacks on Russian military installations. Ukraine's allies are walking a fine line after a series of drone strikes targeting Russian military airfields this week, seeking to acknowledge Ukraine's right to defend itself by hitting military targets, while also balancing concerns about escalating the conflict. Secretary of State Antony Blinken told reporters Tuesday that the United States has neither encouraged nor enabled Ukraine to carry out attacks inside Russia. Separately, a Western official said in a background news briefing, "Attacks on legitimate targets would be legal, but that's not to say that we support or endorse." Kyiv has not publicly claimed responsibility for the attacks, which are the most brazen and far-reaching inside Russia since its invasion in February. But a senior Ukrainian official, speaking on the condition of anonymity to discuss the sensitive operation, told the Washington Post on Tuesday that all 3 attacks were carried out by Ukrainian drones. Here's the latest on the war and its ripple effects across the globe. Key developments. The recent strikes show that Ukraine can operate in Russia at will, and that will scare the Russians, the Western official said Tuesday, adding, "The Russians will be doubting their ability to defend their strategic assets in Russia." Asked whether the United States was working to prevent Ukraine from developing its own ability to strike inside Russia, Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said Tuesday, "No. Absolutely not." Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov called the U.S. plan to deliver a further $800 million to Ukraine extremely confrontational on Wednesday. The measure was adopted by lawmakers Tuesday as part of a larger defense spending bill. The United States has pledged more than $19 billion in security assistance for Ukraine, including Stinger missiles, air defense systems, combat drones, and artillery equipment. Battleground updates. Russia is working to extend defensive positions along its international border with Ukraine and inside its Belgorod region, Britain's Ministry of Defense said Wednesday, noting that Russia was installing more elaborate defense systems. The Russian military said Ukraine used a Soviet-era made drone in at least one of the attacks this week. Alexander Katz, a prominent military correspondent with the Kremlin-friendly newspaper Komsomolskaya Pravda, said the Engels Air Base was hit on Monday by a Soviet Tu-141 Strs unmanned aerial vehicle, which uses technology from the 1970s. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky visited his country's forces near the front line in the eastern Donetsk region on Tuesday. In an address marking Ukraine's Armed Forces Day, Zelensky said the country cannot be defeated and cannot be broken. He continued, "Thousands of Ukrainians gave their lives for the day to come when not a single occupier remains on our land and all our people are free again." Russia and Ukraine carried out a prisoner swap Tuesday, exchanging 60 prisoners each, officials said. Andriy Yermak, Ukraine's presidential chief of staff, told Reuters that some of the returned Ukrainian prisoners were those who held out in the besieged city of Mariupol earlier this year. Russia's defense ministry said the Russian prisoners would be flown to Moscow to receive medical care and psychological support, Reuters reported. Global impact. The conditions for a peaceful resolution to the war in Ukraine are not there now, NATO Secretary General Jens Stoltenberg said. He blamed Russia for failing to participate in negotiations that respect the sovereignty and the territorial integrity of Ukraine. The State Department approved a potential sale of more than 101 A-1 Abrams tanks to Poland, the Pentagon said Tuesday. The deal, which includes munitions, combat recovery vehicles and other related equipment, is worth $3.75 billion. European nations have stepped up major weapons purchases this year to defend against Russian military aggression. Russian President Vladimir Putin has no genuine interest in negotiation or meaningful diplomacy to end the war in Ukraine, the United States told the UN Security Council on Tuesday. Ambassador Lisa Carty, The US representative to the UN Economic and Social Council said Putin is trying to break Ukraine's will to fight by bombing and freezing its civilians into submission. Hungary vetoed an €18 billion financial aid package to Kiev, deepening the rift between the right-wing government of Prime Minister Viktor Orban and other European Union member states. David Pressman, the US ambassador to Hungary, said Tuesday that he was traveling to Brussels to consult with Hungarian officials and senior European Union and NATO counterparts on a range of pressing issues of shared concern. The Associated Press reported. From our correspondents. On Eastern Front with Ukrainian troops, constant shelling, no heat or coffee. In their cramped, hastily dug mud outpost, less than a mile from enemy Russian positions, Ukraine's troops apologize that they only have tea, no room for coffee to offer the post's Isabel Kershudian. A commander manning one of Ukraine's forwardmost positions zoomed in on his tablet to show how Kiev's forces in the area have advanced within 5 miles of Kreminna, an occupied stronghold for the Russian military and a potential gateway for Ukrainian forces as they press into the eastern Luhansk region.